Happy Monday! Another week that leads
How come
into
you
May.
never call it Meunier like you call it Frye? I think
Oh
that's
yeah, I should call it Monday.
I don't think you should call it Meunier.
Monday. That's kind of awesome, Curt Cruz. You know what today is?
I do. Tell me.
Well, you tell me if you know.
Well, one of the things it is today is National Superhero Day. That's the part that I know.
And the other part to that, which I love, which kind of goes together, in my opinion, is Global Pay It Forward Day. So please take a moment and pay it forward somehow, some way with some random act of kindness. Just put some good in the world.
Yeah, that's a
Be
great
a
national
superhero.
day.
Yeah, be a superhero.
One of the best. On the big program today, we have the age when your bad habits catch up with you. And let me just tell you, Jen, you and I are both beyond that age.
Sweet. Best
Catching
ways
up.
best ways to save room in your fridge. And I don't even know if I want to know about this. I
What?
know a snake. There's a story about a snake.
Yes. And a straw in a margarita.
No
I'll leave
thanks.
it at that for now. Also, the world's first sperm race is now a thing of the past. We'll tell you all about how that went, and also how is your significant other stored in your phone? That was our question from Friday.
How
What
much
name do you?
how much of what you see and read online do you trust? And George Lucas finally explains why Yoda speaks backwards. There's
Yoda
a good
speaks
reason for
backwards.
it. You know how
Exactly.
he's like, I can't even think of something he'd say.
He would be like, the Curt and Jen podcast is starting. No, it's not. Starting it is. Starting it is. That's right.
It is.
I was a bad Yoda impression. Sorry about that. Here we go. Mhm.
Can't believe that I forgot to mention this last week because I should have mentioned it last Monday. And this is the mega news. A big congratulations to Jackson High School up here in the Mill Creek area. Their robotics team took first in the world, which
That
is
was a
huge.
surprise. When I saw the information, you were like popped it in here. I did not know that it's like, I knew they were having a competition because some of our friends have kids at Jackson, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, they're having a robotics team competition. I did not know this was like for the world champion of all champions to infinity, and it
Yeah, there's
is.
like now I'm forgetting what Lori told me. There was maybe over 800 teams, 23 countries. I mean, getting first in the world, and they're right here in our area. So, yay, Jackson
Yeah.
High School robotics team.
Where did they? Do you know where they had this world championship? Was it held here as well?
No, it was in Houston.
Okay. That is congratulations are in order. And since people have been asking, I'm going to show you a sleeping puppy.
Oh, oh, I feel like they're already getting so much bigger.
Well, 3 months, still no names, just so you know.
Well,
We
their litter names, Sinclair and what, Shyla?
Yeah, Shiloh. Yes, there you go.
Shiloh.
But we're just fostering them for now, and we'll see how many get to stay. Hopefully both. But there you go.
You're
There's
gonna
another
try.
one in here
Are
somewhere.
you? Are you? I thought you weren't gonna keep both. I thought you are choosing one.
Well, the truth is that the people involved, which in this case is the Washington German Shepherd Rescue and even Humane Society of Seattle and stuff, they say that there's an issue. There are certain issues with adopting litter mates that they won't adopt them out together. Because I was thinking, it was mentioned before, oh, that'd be great. You get to keep them together and blah blah blah. But apparently, when it comes to there's like some dominance issues with one of them having to be dominant, and they're also they've already bonded to each other, which is a natural thing. But now they don't listen to me at all, which is part of being a puppy. I understand, but it's almost like they're like, I'll be like, come here, puppy, and then they look at each other like, nah, we're gonna go do something else.
Playing sounds
So,
more fun than going to dad.
exactly. So, but they've been a joy to have around. Like you said on Friday, it really is a very happy thing. So we're looking forward to at least having one of them around for a
I
while.
have an all call then. We need someone to adopt the other puppy that's near Kurt Cruz so that they can stay together and have sibling visits.
Sibling visits. Who's interested in having a 3-month-old puppy that never lets you sleep?
Kurt is grumpy today, by the way. He got
I'm not. I'm doing a great job of hiding my grumpiness.
okay.
I was up at midnight and then again at 2 to let these yahoos out. Yahoos. So you take that back. I'm not being grumpy.
I am not going to because the first thing you said to me when we got on this call was, I'm effing tired.
Yeah, that's true. Let me hear about the party I had to miss on Saturday, which was our friend Randy's retirement party.
Yes, it was so good. It was just, you know what? It's just, you know how it is. Like when you're gathering with friends and celebrating a big occasion, it's just
Hmm.
awesome. It was at Lance Sellers. It was fantastic. We did a group gift.
And that was funny, by the way, because I was going to even say to you, you were signing the card for a number of people. Some people couldn't make it, like myself, but we did the group gift and everybody chipped in. And you're like, how do you want the signature on the card to be? And of course, I had some witty, line from an AC/DC song. But I was thinking, well, are you going to use different handwriting for everybody's
I
different,
did try. I tried.
because you have very neat handwriting, and people know that I do not.
It was,
So,
I was going to tell you that I was trying to be somewhat creative.
mhm,
We got him, some gift cards
right.
so we could do some of his favorite things in his retired days and then try some new things. And I know that Randy loves puzzles, and I'm like, I thought I heard of a puzzle club at some point, and there is a subscription based puzzle thing. It's called Complete the Puzzle. So we got him a 6 month subscription to that. And
Awesome.
you get to do as many puzzles as you can do and send back and get in each month. And Randy does puzzles fast, so he's going to be one of those ones that takes full advantage of that.
It's true. See, that's what you get for smart people because they'd be like, here's a gift card to Guitar Center for me or something like that.
We did get him one of those too because he loves playing his bass.
Okay. Well, happy retirement to Randy, and we'll keep you updated on his puzzling, right? This is a radio story, so of course I was interested. And I'm not going to dive into this too deeply with this is the direction that radio is going, just so people know. This does not really have anything with Jen and I, used to, formerly being on the radio. But there is AI, artificial intelligence, is getting so good that there are some radio stations that, surprise, surprise, are using AI to be their on-air DJs, right?
We've been doing this for well over a year.
Yes, but it was there's a station in Portland that has an afternoon show that's an AI generated afternoon show. But they were upfront about it. They said, "Oh, by the way, Brittany or whatever her name is not a human person." That was the first one that I had heard of, and it sounds genuinely like a human. We remember back in the day, computers would be like, "Hello, this is Brittany. I'm on the radio."
No, it sounds like what people we would do some things with AI when we were on the radio.
That's true. That's true. You could have a phone call if you wanted a request. You could have AI say, "Hey, I want to hear such and such." So it's getting very good. The problem with this radio station in Sydney, Australia, was they didn't tell people that this was an artificial intelligence AI DJ. This is an iHeartRadio station. That was a little dig, by the way. And they were. It looks like the host is called THY. I'm going to assume that's thy. I didn't know that
Kurt
was a
Cruz,
name.
do you want to get a radio job? Because now iHeart's not even going to hire us.
I wouldn't work for them anyway. Wow. Um,
Oh my god.
so the Workdays with Thy show, is a music intensive show, Monday through Friday in the afternoon. But they had this DJ that they did not identify as being artificial intelligence, and people are not happy about that. There was a blog I guess a couple weeks ago that said, "Hey, we looked on your website. There's no information about this person, Thy. So what's their last name? Who is she? Where did she come from? There's no bio or anything like that." And what they found was, I guess somebody did audio analysis of voice clips, and every time that Thy said the words old school, which apparently was, at least on a few occasions, it was identical. It was like, it wasn't like, one time it was like, "Hey, there's some old school music coming up." And next, like, "Yeah, let's do something old school." It was always the same exact way. So that's how they were outed as
Wow.
AI, and people were unhappy. Would you feel duped, Jen, if that happened?
I mean, not anymore. I mean, because I was in the business and I know that there's so much fakeness.
Yeah, it
I mean,
has.
that was what we kind of hung our hats on, so to speak, is we wanted to make sure that we were always authentic and real. And
Right. A little soapbox for me here is, I always, of course, I go back to when every station had live and local jocks on 24/7, and then as time went on, they got rid of the overnight jocks because, we're not making any money on overnights. And then revenue, we don't make any money with the 7 to midnight show. So let's do an automated 7 to midnight. And then, middays. Well, you know what? All the midday shows, just sleepy music that people want to listen to in the doctor's office. So we're gonna do a syndicated, as time went by, live and local became less and less
It's just
important, and now it seems like it's not important at all.
the industry has changed a lot, and
Yes.
hence
So
we're doing a podcast.
exactly. So we can do whatever we want, like tell those kind of stories, right?
Yeah.
And stepping off a soapbox now. Thank you very much. All right.
This is a really great story that's kind of depressing. I'm not going to lie, but it's good to know the exact age when your unhealthy habits, bad habits specifically, catch up with you. Because I think that in your 20s, I mean, we did a lot of like unhealthy things in our 20s, and in our 30s, we're finding that it's hard to get in shape.
Keep going in our 40s.
In our 40s, and now in our 50s, like you're doing all the right things and nothing's changing. Like you can't see any results change.
Right. And maybe that was due to what we were doing in our 20s and 30s. So they did a study. Researchers say they may have pinpointed the exact age when bad habits like smoking, drinking, and not exercising start to trigger health problems. And I was gonna say, oh, that's probably 45 or so.
This is a legit study because they tracked the health of hundreds of children born in 1959 until they were 61. So that's a good long study, right? With like
Sure.
people in it. They found that those who regularly smoked, drank, and lounged around in their younger years ended up sicker and more depressed as they aged.
And on average, you got that?
I got this on average, those people's health started to decline at the age of 36.
Dun, dun, dun.
One of the researchers said, because they need a lot of researchers, right? Because they're going to come and go in that big of time span.
Right.
Our findings highlight the importance of tackling risky health behaviors as early as possible to prevent damage from building up over the years.
And I think there's a lot of mentality that, hey, it's my 20s, I'm going to live it up. And there's some accuracy to that. It is your 20s. Go ahead and live it up. But I would have assumed that, the price you pay for that, you wouldn't happen until, mid 40s or, I guess what you would call middle age. And maybe that's what they consider 36 to be. But to me, that seems, oh, crap. So by 36, you got to have your bad days behind you and your bad habits behind you.
Yeah, I mean, you should be joining the gym by age 36 for sure.
Here's the last line from the story. Enjoy the partying and debauchery into your 30s as long as you quit the bad stuff and ask for a gym membership on your 36th birthday.
Just try to be healthy from the get-go is the real moral of this story.
Absolutely. What movie? I think it was a Back to the Future movie where maybe it wasn't, but they were talking about, somebody he was going to go for a jog or go for a run. It's like, why? Is somebody chasing you? Because, that's kind of what the mentality used to be. It's like, why would you go for a run? Huh? All right, Jen, this is your deal because you found this story.
Well, it was a couple weeks ago that we announced that there was going to be the first sperm race, the world's first sperm race. And it's where they put two people up against each other, two men, and their sperm, and see who's fastest. This
is a race on a microscopic level because what they do is they take two sperm samples from different individuals. They basically, put it in I would say under a microscope. They put it in a microscope.
Starting gate.
Right. They put it on a microfluidic chip that mimics the female reproductive system. All their movements magnified so people can see it and tracked, creating a spectacle for the audience as you watch these sperms going for it.
So there was the first race was held on Friday night in Los Angeles with a student from USC going up from a student from UCLA. So they're rivals. It's like putting two up against from UW and WSU if we're talking local. And
right.
Then 3 heats. After 2 heats, they were tied. And in the end, the USC won the rubber match. That's what it says.
Is that ironic that USC is the Trojans? And the Trojans condoms are the ones who won the race. All right. So The whole thing was live streamed. People wagered on this too. It was something you could bet on. A combined total of 329,000 was wagered on this first ever sperm race.
I think that I'm trying to kind of paraphrase what's all here. Is it say that there was some skepticism if the race footage was real or not, right?
Or I guess they say it looked like it was CGI, and they were also saying, well, sperm doesn't usually swim in one direction like that, so people were saying it was staged.
Weird. It was
But
still entertaining. A lot of people still showed up. There was a line like around the block outside the door waiting to get in, and a guy that actually attended said that it was a very much a like one of those WWE wrestling match vibes.
so the organizers do claim it was completely legit. So anybody who said that it was staged, they're saying no, it certainly wasn't. So we'll see if there are more sperm races you can bet on in the future.
You
I'm
know,
going
it
to
was
say
a
there
fan
probably were.
favorite. A fan favorite was someone that showed up in a hot dog costume and squirted out confetti that was in the shape of sperm.
Squirted out sperm-shaped confetti.
He had a cannon blaster that squirted out confetti shapes or sperm shaped confetti at the end, like he would stick it up at the end of his hot dog costume, his wiener costume.
I like it. I do for some reason. This is the helpful hint section of today's program.
Oh, I like this. I want to know.
I know you do. This is perfect for you. How to save room in your fridge. If you're like us, our fridge is pretty disorganized. There's room for everything, but it's not really, and I will often have to say to Dana, hey, where's the butter at? And she's like, well, move the lettuce and look underneath that thing, and there it is. So this is ways to save room in your fridge.
Okay. Tell me all
All right.
Cruz.
Some of these are pretty logical. Use square or rectangular storage containers. You're wasting space if you use anything circular. That makes sense.
I have a lot of circular glass containers.
You got to get rid of them, I guess. Stack everything you can. Using up all the vertical space in your fridge is key as well. Take food out of its packaging. Boxes are bulky and unnecessary. It also says skip organizers like baskets and things like that. All they do is take up extra space.
Hold on. If you get rid of the boxes, you need to make sure you have a Sharpie and write these cooking instructions on them.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Because that to me might be a step too far because I will have to refer to that.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the walls in the fridge. They make suction cup caddies that are awesome. Oh. You can suction cup things to the walls of the fridge, little organizer trays and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like you do in your shower, maybe, all right? And a lot of your vegetables do not need to be refrigerated. Potatoes, onions, garlic, and tomatoes can all be left on the counter. So you can save space by not putting them in the fridge at all.
Okay. Thanks,
Did you learn?
Cruz.
Did you learn stuff?
No.
Appreciate the authenticity and honesty.
This is the question of the day from Friday that we posted on Facebook, Curt and Jen in the Morning Facebook page. And that was, how is your significant other stored in your phone? And how is your name stored in theirs? We didn't get a lot of the how is your name stored in theirs. I tried to prompt it because I responded to some of the people that said, oh, I store it like this. I'm like, how are you stored in their phone? I only got like 2 responses from that. So, but that's okay. We got some good ones.
And you were saying that you think that you and your boyfriend Pat are pretty boring. You have him in there as Pat Curran, right? And he has you.
But I have firefighter under title.
Okay, well that's important. I did a joke a long time ago, and the reason my wife Dana is in there stored as the baby is because we had a discussion, and I knew it would happen again because she was always saying, "Oh, you're such a baby," and I'm like, "You're a baby," and she's like, "You're the baby." So I changed her name in my phone to the baby. And next time we had that conversation, I was like, look, right here, it says that you are the baby. End of discussion.
What are you listed in hers?
Curdy,
that's right.
I guess so.
Here's what you said. Kim, Becky, Janelle, Meredy, Laurel, and Jenny. So a lot of you that responded. And this is a good idea. Have their significant other as ICE in case
ICE, right.
In case of emergency for their
that's good. So if somebody finds your phone as well, if you're out and you're passed out or whatever, they can look at your phone. But again, most of us have passwords on our phone anyway, so they won't be able to get
Right.
in.
It's usually ICE with their name. So it's kind of both. And Laurel had mentioned that she has her sons listed that way too. Jeannie said that her husband, Matt, is listed as my love, and Matt has her listed as sugar.
Sugar,
Sugar.
sugar. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? My sister and my brother-in-law have funny names for each other in theirs. I'm trying to think of what they are. If I can do it before the end of this, I will. But they're maybe not safe for this broadcast. Leslie said she has her significant other listed as Big Daddy, but he's the one who put it in there as that is Big Daddy. And Rita, my significant other is my ex now, so it's a-hole.
She said, remember, I was the one who used his toothbrush to clean the toilet. I'm like, oh my God, that's
Ooh.
right. Okay. Kathy said he is a big superhero geek. So it's Flash for her significant other.
Yeah.
Lauren has her husband, Matt, as lover boy. She says he's been lover boy in my phone since day one. And they have a like a Aaron who introduced them as secret lover for a very long time. That's how he was. It's like an inside joke.
Okay. Oh, so Aaron's the secret lover and Matt's the lover boy. Okay. Marilyn is also one that has ice in case of emergency. Rondi, lover, is how she refers to her significant other. And in his phone, it's Rondi loves you. I programmed that. So every time the phone pops up, it says Rondi loves you. Nice.
They're newly married, so she said we both have Usher songs for each other as the ringtone, and we're still in our honeymoon phase though.
Nice. I wonder what Usher song it is. Yeah. Uh, James, my wife's ringtone is She's the One. And
Aw,
Jenny
that's sweet.
said, I just put Casey, but his mom is in there under Casey's mom. Got
That's
it.
awesome. Anthony said it was PETA, pain in the ass,
Hmm.
for his significant other, but now it's love of my life.
LOML.
That's
I love that.
probably a better choice. And she has him as hubby.
Let's get on to Corey here. Corey says we're boring as heck, just regular names, but now I'm changing Eric. That's her husband. I'm changing Eric's to Ricky. Oh, we did that on the show last week. It was
Yeah.
nicknames and stuff. Okay. Elizabeth said not only ice, but also baby. He's listed twice in there.
I
And then
told her, I'm like, I was hoping that you were going to say he's under there as Ice Baby.
that's hilarious.
I thought
And
so.
Eric says, queen of all she surveys. I have a friend, my friend Kevin has her as she who must be obeyed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Last couple, Debbie said, my love is how she stores her significant other in her phone. And Leslie said, Travis, my hubs, which is so dorky. That is not dorky, Leslie. That is cute.
My hubs.
My hubs.
You know what? I think we got some really good ones in there. I was a little concerned at first, like you were, but people, as always, we appreciate it.
My hubs. My hubs.
Your lovely lady hubs.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees were announced last night on American Idol. And there are 13 inductees this year. We should say, we'll get to that other part later, but here's the 13 inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the class of 2025. In the performers category, Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker also made it in there, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, and the White Stripes.
I've never even heard of the White Stripes.
Oh, poor you.
I've heard of Stripes Gum, but not White Stripes performing band.
With the White Stripes, what?
Nothing. Keep going.
Musical influence category had Salt and Peppa and Warren Zevon were inducted for that. So there is your 13, I guess, or most of your 13. As for the snubs, Fish, the band Fish, won the fan vote last week. They got 330,000 votes, and often they are the ones that the fan vote ends up being one of the ones that is actually inducted. But this time it did not.
Not even the first, second, or third place people in the fan vote, because second place for the fan vote was Bad Company, and Billy Idol was third, and none of them got in.
No, Bad Company got in, but Billy Idol did not.
Bad Company got in. Okay, yeah.
So there's that, and yeah, I guess looking at it, I'm glad that Warren Zevon was put in there. I know a lot of people don't know a lot of his songs other than Werewolves of London, but very talented guy, very great songwriter in my opinion. So yeah, that's a decent group this year.
That's only the second time, the second time in history where the fan vote didn't get voted in. The first time was Dave Matthews banned in 2020, but then they later got in 2024.
And Margie Barocas is happy about that, right?
Yes, that's true.
It's a little inside, sorry.
Curt, I can't even believe this. You got to tell me this story. I saw the headline and I'm just like, no, I'm not even reading this.
Okay. Well, I'm not even going to start with the headline. I'm going to
Okay.
start with this. Imagine mistaking this for your straw. You're sitting there enjoying a nice sunny afternoon. This is in Virginia. This woman in Virginia was at a Mexican restaurant. She went to take a a sip of her margarita. So she says, I'm going to sip on this straw. Turns out there's a live snake there in the margarita.
It was that part of like, was that the shtick for the Mexican restaurant? You know, some people put bugs or whatever or worms in the tequila. Is that the shtick?
No, there is not supposed to be a snake in the margarita at all. Carletta Andrews was at a place near Richmond. She, the Patron Canteen is what it was called. She and her husband had just finished eating at the bar when she felt something kind of hit her forehead. She's like, "What was that?"
You shut your
Like,
mouth right now.
didn't think anything more of it, I guess. And then okay, then looked down at her drink and freaked out. She saw a baby snake in her glass. An
Oh,
employee tried to remove the snake with a stick. Then another customer's like, "Screw that!" and just came along and took the snake with his hand, and that was that. So. Let me see. Carletta said that an employee offered to move her to a different booth, but she got out of there as fast as she could. And they did comp her meal.
well, thank goodness. That's the least they could do.
Right. But I'm going to say this. Sometimes things just happen, and I think it's great that they comped her meal. But if this turns into a lawsuit or something, it's like, listen, I could have a snake fall on my head right now. That's it. Just things happen. So it's great that they comp the meal, but I don't think that if they's like, well, I'm going to sue you for trauma and blah blah blah. It's like, come on, man, stuff happens.
The owner of the restaurant said the snake must have gotten in through the air conditioner. It apparently fell from the ceiling, bounced off her head, and landed in her drink.
Okay. And
Oh,
Carletta does say she's not going back to that place, which that makes sense. That's too traumatizing. We almost have you ever had a hair in your food?
oh yeah.
Would that cause you to not go back to that restaurant again?
Not necessarily, but it would be definitely something that would stick in my mind.
And that's another thing that just sort of happens. Unless the person like shook their head over your meal and deliberately put a hair in it. So, all right, on to the next story. How's that sound?
Sometimes falls in.
Well, your own hair in food doesn't count, Jen, because you have long blonde hair and it does come out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, George Lucas finally explains why Yoda speaks backwards in Star Wars. I mean, have you ever wondered why? Like, why and how did he even get that? So he gave the answer during the 45th anniversary screening of Empire Strikes Back. And he said, quote, because if you speak regular English, people won't listen that much. But if he had an accent or is really hard to understand what he's saying, they focus on what he's saying. So he's basically the philosopher of the movie, and he had to figure out Yoda, that is
right.
Philosopher of
right.
So George Lucas said, I had to figure out a way to get people to actually listen, especially 12-year-olds. So
12-year-olds should listen, they will.
that was
something like that.
Yeah.
It does make you pay attention, doesn't it? I just thought that was I just thought that he was wise and that's why he spoke that way. So now we know. All right.
He's wise and people need to listen.
He is wise. This is not surprising. Maybe a little disappointing. 2,000 people were surveyed for this. Found that skepticism is an all-time high when it comes to the internet. The results of this research and this study, Americans believe only 41% of what they consume online, saying that they only think 41% is totally accurate, fact-based, and created by a real human.
In fact, they also believe that 23% is completely false and purposely inaccurate or misleading, while 36% falls somewhere in between.
I guess you have to be foolish to not to actually think that everything you see on the internet is accurate 100%. But less than half of what you see, 41%, they're like, nah, I don't know about this. That's too bad.
What are the facts? Do we have any facts? Like, wait, another 78% agree the internet has never been worse. when it comes to differentiating between what's real and what's artificial. You know what, Pat, my boyfriend and I just had a conversation about that because we were looking at something. I'm like, that's AI. Because he was like so fascinated by it. He's like, this is so cool. I'm like, that's AI. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm sure it's AI.
Right. Well, and that happens a lot with certainly with photographs, with photos you see on there, and sometimes the videos. I saw a video recently of somebody. What animal were they rescuing? It was like, I think it was like a shark. It was a shark, and the shark had like a big hook in its. They were trying to save the shark. It was a hammerhead shark. They had the hammerhead shark by the hammer, whatever the hell it is, by the head, and they're forcing this big fishing hook out of his mouth. And it's like there's no way a shark is not going to try to bite your hand off, right? So just so you know, if you see a hammerhead shark in distress, maybe don't try to help it.
What is this last part? Social media posts 48%, news articles 34%, and chatbots 32% are the top three most likely culprits when it comes to AI generated or misleading content. News articles,
Hmm.
34% not real or AI generated. What the
I
heck? What can we even believe anymore? This is gonna really get me started here. Like, this is
mhm.
getting ridiculous.
At some point, and I'm not going to point fingers. I am pointing fingers. I'm not going to say who. At some point, it seems like it became okay to lie. People stopped calling somebody out on their lies, lying constantly, and I don't understand that. I don't understand how a person in a position of power can just sit there and lie. And it's not like there's no debate. It's not like, oh, well, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It's like this is clearly a bunch of BS, and people aren't calling this person out on it, and I don't know why. And now you're frowning because you don't want to talk about that crap, but I'm
Well,
sticking
I
by
don't
it. It
think it is
became
politics. I mean, yes, there is some of that in politics, but there's always been lying in politics.
well, people will, and that's true,
But
but
it's
it's not
spread.
to the degree
But
that it is now.
the thing is it spread through all the things that we consume, though, right? I
Hmm.
mean, the social media. I mean, I would even say that in the news that we watch on TV, we're not getting the whole story,
That
which
is also
is
true.
also lying, right?
Right.
Give us the.
Well, but when you're doing reporting and stuff like that, I mean, even when we do stories, we pick and choose out of the story what we're going to use. We don't, and we do it generally just for the time. It's like, okay, we don't have time to talk about this entire story, so we're going to pick out these things.
But
But
we're
there are
not.
certainly people.
But we always, I would say, and I don't like using absolutes. I would say we always make sure we get the gist of the story and the
Mhm.
truth, so it's not skewed one way. Like, oh,
Exactly.
we're gonna sensationalize this by taking this part out and really emphasizing this part.
Right. And somebody's going to say, well, Curt, you shouldn't be pointing fingers at one person who lies because other people lie. It's like, I don't care. I cannot believe the degree that this is going on and has been going on. And that's the thing. It's become normalized. And so it has spread, like you said. That doesn't make it any better.
The lesson here is don't believe everything you hear or read, and seek out the full truth, because there's two sides of every story, and somewhere in between lies the truth. I don't know what famous person said that, but that's wise to me.
Right. And also maybe don't lie. How's that?
How about you know what? I'm reading The Joy Diet right now. It's this book by Martha Beck. I'm listening to it actually.
What's it called? The Joy Diet?
Joy Diet.
Okay.
And one of my friends is like, why are you reading The Joy Diet, Jen? You have so much joy. You bring so much joy and you have so much joy. La, la, la. Well, I'm just like trying to emphasize it. Anyway, one of her things is no, don't lie. Take a day, very consciously, take a day and do not lie about anything. Nothing.
Hmm. Because we all do stretch the truth from time to time, I suppose.
Well, and you don't say what's on your mind because you're holding back on what you really think, and so you say something, like sugarcoat something or whatever. Anyway, it's interesting. It's a great book. You should read it. I really do recommend it. It's if you're trying to
Right.
better your
Unless
life, it's a
unless you're us and we're too transparent and I go on I'm grumpy today. I don't want to do this.
it's okay. We all have those days, and that's being
It's true.
truthful, and I appreciate that because I know where you're coming from, so that I can, pick up the joy factor a little bit more even.
Well, I blame that little puppy right there. Okay, question of the day for today, and I'm looking forward to the answers on this one. What we're looking for is basically the question of the day. What were you once good at, but not anymore?
What were you once good at, but not anymore?
I'm going to say, I wonder if a lot of the answers are going to be things like, well, I used to be good at running. I could run, 10 miles. Now I can't.
I don't know. I have to think of, I mean, I used to be good like at gymnastics and stuff, and I can't do
Right.
that stuff anymore.
I used to be good at finding things that were right in front of my face. I used to be good at seeing things. Where's the orange juice? Oh, yeah. All right, here's one of my favorites, by the way. Where are my glasses? Well, did you see my glasses, babe?
Usually they're here for me. Usually they're like this. Oh my God, where are my glasses? I can't find them.
On your head.
Yeah.
Bam. So let us know what you were once good at, but not anymore. I can't wait to hear the answers on that one.
Oh man, this was fun, Curt. You really rallied. Thanks for rallying.
Absolutely. Well, puppies are good for the soul. I'll say that much.
Right?
When they're not waking me up every 2 hours middle of the night, they're pretty awesome.
I need to come visit them. Macy and I need to come visit.
Anytime, you're welcome.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our show.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding our clothing? There we go. Make good choices, find joy, spread kindness, and laugh.
Please.
Great week because we're on Monday. So make it a great day and a great week. And today, be a superhero. Pay it forward.
Yes. And we'll be back on Wednesday with more stuff.
Thank you for listening. We're glad we get to be part of your life. Have a good one.